Jared here with CarBuzz.com, and today I am reviewing the 2019 Nissan Murano. Now in its third generation, Nissan has facelifted the Murano slightly for the 2019 model year. You've got some minor changes on the inside. You've got those new headlights, you've got a deeper, more pronounced V-motion grille, some new wheel options, and 3 new color choices, including the one Nissan has sent me here. It's called, wait for it, Sunset Drift Chroma Flare. Awesome name, awesome color. It sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh attack. Dragon, use your Sunset Chroma Flare attack. I think it looks great and it sounds awesome as well. But can the Nissan's awesome looks be backed up by the driving experience? That's what we're here to find out. But before we get it out on the road, be sure to look in the description below to find the best deals on the 2019 Nissan Murano. Now let's go ahead and drive it. Now that we're out on the road, I want to make one thing clear to the viewers, that if you hear a sort of creaky farting noise, I promise it is not me. It is this leather bolster which constantly rubs against the center armrest here. It's like not big enough to clear the space, so it just rubs. Every time I start the car on or turn it off and the entry and exit seat slides, I hear it just go farting against there. So just know that throughout the video, if you hear like a squeaking noise, don't worry, I haven't eaten too many burritos, it's just the car. Now, on to the Murano here. Engine choices, we only have one available. There's no optional, no base engines. It's a 3.5 liter VQ series V6 engine, putting out 260 horsepower and 240 foot-pounds of torque, going out to a CVT, continuously variable transmission. No other drivetrain options, although you can have front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Why does that drivetrain sound familiar? Well, it's because it's what Nissan has been using for years and years. I owned a 2002 Pathfinder, which put out 250 horsepower. So think about that. That's 17 model years ago, and Nissan has only managed to squeeze 10 extra horsepower out of this engine. That is not so good. What is so good is that this Murano gets 20 mpg in the city, 28 on the highway, 23 combined. I've had no problem averaging 22, although I haven't really been driving it through ideal fuel economy conditions. So I have no trouble believing that it can get 23. That is way better than my 2002 Pathfinder, but in terms of power, Nissan squeezes 300 horsepower out of this exact engine in the Maxima. So performance, a little disappointing in the Murano, 7.3 seconds. We're gonna go ahead and floor it now. There you go, okay. So I wanna talk about what just happened. First of all, that wasn't 60. That took a really long time, and I did not hit 60 in that run. So yeah, this is not a very rapid car from the get-go, not even close. It will decouple all-wheel drive. That's how it partially gets that really good fuel economy. So when you're driving along like I am now, it's only sending power to the front wheels. But this CVT, pretty good. I'm going to have to compliment Nissan on this, because sometimes I'm going to go for a quick burst of power. Power is right there, and boom, it simulated a gear. So sometimes it does that, sometimes it doesn't. You may have heard when I did the acceleration just there that it kind of held RPMs for like a really long time. I don't love when CVTs do that. It just kind of sounds drony to me, but this one does a really good job of when I do need a burst of power. There you go. It shifted. So it does have the capacity to shift through 7 simulated gears, and I think it does so pretty well. So in terms of CVTs, if you don't like a CVT transmission and you're just against them, this probably won't win you over, but I like it when it's paired to this V6 engine because the power is just so immediate, you can access it really easily. So powertrain, very smooth. I do enjoy that aspect of the Murano. Ride comfort is also pretty good, even with the 20-inch wheels we have on this car. I think this is a pretty comfortable car, not the most comfortable in the segment though. Now let's talk about the steering, because that is probably the most strange, confusing, discombobulating factor of this whole driving experience. I'm just struggling for words here because it's on the heavy side, which is surprising. I was expecting the Murano to be more of like a luxury alternative to something like a Lexus RX, like a non-luxury mainstream alternative to that, but it's kind of sporty with the steering. So here we go. I've come to a stop to demonstrate this. When you're not moving, the steering becomes like super heavy, like somebody has like put super glue in it or something like that. It becomes really hard to turn, making like, oh my God, I'm trying to get into this parking spot. Makes it really tough, like surprisingly tough. Once you're like moving, it gets a little lighter, but it's a very weird feeling that I'm just struggling to understand why Nissan calibrated it like that. It just doesn't make a lot of sense because usually you'd want it to be light when you're moving around in like a parking lot and then weight up on the highway to give you a little more feel and not have it feel as loose. It's just a weird way to do it here. It kind of feels like if you've ever driven a car that doesn't have power steering, it's like that. You know how when you don't have power steering, it's, you have to really work to try and move the wheel when you're just sitting there. When you're moving, it turns a little bit easier because you have momentum. That's kind of what it feels like, which is a little strange. Now, there's some oddities here with the driving experience. Besides that, Nissan has this whole matte or gloss black trim all over here. It just shows glare everywhere. There's chrome buttons. I'm not a huge fan of that. The steering wheel, I'll talk about this a little more when we get into the interior, but the buttons are just all over the place. More on that a little bit later. But one thing I will say in the Murano's defense is that these seats are lovely. So we've been sent the SL trim, which is second from the top. I wish we would have had the platinum trim to try out because that's the one that has the semi-aniline quilted beautiful leather. This one's just kind of normal leather, but Nissan does these, they're called zero gravity seats, and oh man, I could sit in this seat forever. It is very, very comfortable, like no pressure points, although the adjustment on it isn't fantastic. I wish there was a little bit more lumbar adjustment, but you know, it's fine. If you're not like in huge need of lumbar, you're going to be absolutely fine with the Murano. So yeah, it's just kind of a weird experience driving it. I'm struggling to find anything it does extremely well, but it doesn't do anything particularly poorly either. So the driving experience has left me kind of forgetting the Maxima. Like I'm still, the Murano, I'm still behind the wheel, and yet I'm already struggling to like sum up this car in one word. So if you're okay with that and you just want something that's pretty comfortable with nice seats and a decent amount of power that will still get you good fuel economy, that is definitely the Murano. Now we're going to pull over to show you the rest of the interior here because there are definitely some glaring holes with Nissan's interior design. Now that I've pulled over, let's go ahead and take a look at Nissan's kind of mixed bag of an interior here. Let's start with the steering wheel because I mentioned this while I was driving. The buttons are just kind of sprawled out all over the wheel. Doesn't seem like in a very cohesive way. Like for example, here's how you cycle through all of the menus here. You use this button to go left and right, but sometimes you can use this controller to click OK. So that's requiring me to move my thumb here to go up and down, and then down here to go left and right. Why couldn't that all have just been in one spot? I think that's kind of weird. And then, okay, now I want to adjust volume. I have to move my thumb all the way down here. It barely reaches, but here's the volume controls all the way down here, sort of in the middle. Yeah, this just seems like a weird design. I think Nissan's had this for like many, many years now. The Murano isn't all that old, but this steering wheel design just feels like it is. The information that you have in the screen is pretty good, although sometimes it can be a bit weird. Like here's my driving aids screen, and it has kind of like two little arrows showing me what I thought would maybe be like my blind spot monitors, maybe just like another point to show me if I have a car in my blind spot, but those don't do anything. I can't really figure out what that screen does. Other than that, we just have clean black gauges with white typefacing. Over here we have our 8-inch touchscreen, which Nissan has tried to style like a smartphone. You can see we have like apps, so I can do a search for POI, or I can go through my call history. It kind of scrolls. Here's my weather, XM sports scores, Bluetooth audio. So if I push this button that says customize home menu, now I can sort of see all of my, they call it widgets, sort of like you used to get on Android. So like, for example, if I want to take FM and I want to make that a shortcut, I can drag it here, and then when I go back, there it is. It's just not all that intuitive. Like, if I stuck my mom in here and said, here, play around with this, she would have no idea where to find anything. So I just don't think this is a very intuitive system, even though it's a touchscreen, and usually those are pretty easy to use. The map quality is pretty good. Kind of seems a little cartoony, and like when you look at the graphics, it definitely doesn't hold up compared to some of the best from Mazda, Kia, Ford, and even GM right now. The one thing it does have that's pretty good is the surround view camera when I stick it into reverse, and then I should be able to, while I'm driving, if I push the camera button now, I should be able to get different camera modes. Doesn't seem to be working now. But the only problem with this is I just got out of the Chevy Blazer that also had a surround view camera that was much more high definition than this, and it didn't have these black lines cutting off. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but when I was parking and there was like a pole right here, it kind of got distorted by this little black line. So it doesn't seem like it would be a huge deal, but there you go. That's how you cycle through. So you can have like the side view camera and stuff like that showing. Now, all of this is this gloss black, so it's just going to get dusty and fingerprints and everything, so I don't love the way that looks. Then it's surrounded by this metal, which is different than the brushed metal that you get down here, which isn't real metal either because it's plastic. And then you've got these chrome buttons that just shine anytime a light hits them. Come on, Nissan, pick one material. You've got gloss black, you've got matte silver, then you have this sort of molded injection plastic here. This whole dashboard is just one big flat piece of plastic. And then you've got this metal, which actually does look pretty good, but it's definitely not metal. Then you've got this shifter, which is, hear that? Oh my goodness. Yeah, that is not a quality sounding item. Like, I rarely make fun of a car for a shifter, but this really feels like it came out of my 2002 Maxima. And that's the big problem that I've noticed here. There are a lot of buttons and switches in here, like the ones for the panoramic moonroof up there, that are just kind of this grayish plastic. And then you've got black buttons here, and then, you know, different switches over here for the windows. It looks like they came out of 5 different cars. And that's just not a good look in 2019. A lot of these things, like this junky shifter, feel like they belong in a car from 2009, not 2019. But there is some decent storage. You got your 2 cup holders here. You've got kind of this square area here that's perfect for even a large phone like the one I have. Starter button right here. And you do have a USB and a USB-C port for 2019, which is pretty interesting to see Nissan trying to keep up with the times there. So mostly I'm not a huge fan of this interior, but the seats are very comfortable. I mentioned at the beginning of the video that this armrest just kind of squeaks on the leather here, so definitely some quality issues here on the Murano. Now let's go ahead and check out the back seat where things are a lot better. Back here, I can be a little bit more kind to the Murano because we have 38.7 inches of rear legroom, which is near class leading in this midsize segment. I have just so much legroom here. I can spread out. The seats back here, they're still those nice zero gravity units. So yeah, just really, really comfortable. They do sit a bit upright, but you have like a little tab here that you can pull to recline just a little bit. I do have rear air back here, heated seats, and back here I do have a USB port and a USB-C for charging, and a nice little tray area to rest my phone. And if I go ahead and lower the armrest, I have another little tray area here that it's perfect for a phone with 2 small cup holders, and the load floor is completely flat back here, so I wouldn't mind sitting in this middle seat as well. Now, trunk space is pretty good back there, but because Nissan has put such a priority on rear seat legroom, it's not the best, but let's go ahead and check it out. Out back, the Nissan Murano continues its very bold and dynamic look. You've got these sort of 370Z inspired taillights back here, and if I go ahead and I'm gonna try to activate the foot operated liftgate here, although I don't have the best luck with these systems. Come on, come on. Nope, see. I can never get them to work, but when you do, you've got 32 cubic feet of storage space back here. If you fold down the rear seats, which is a cinch to do because you've got two very easy to pull handles back here, you'll have 67 cubic feet of storage, which is plenty for most people, although there is no way to get the Murano with a third row. You'll have to step up to the larger Pathfinder if you want that. Now let's go ahead and price out our 2019 Nissan Murano SL with all-wheel drive. So let's price out our 2019 Murano SL with all-wheel drive. $44,340 as tested, but here are the different trim levels you can select for the Murano. Your basic S trim is going to start at $31,370, $32,970 if you want all-wheel drive. That gets you 18-inch wheels, an 8-inch color display, 2 USB ports up front, Bluetooth, hands-free texting with Nissan Connect, and you do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard. Stepping up to the SV trim for $34,540 or $36,140 for all-wheel drive gets you a 10-way power driver's seat with 4-way passenger power seat, black roof rails, a remote engine starter, leather-wrapped steering wheel, leather-wrapped shift knob, auto-dimming inside mirror with the home link for your garage door opener, blind spot warning, rear cross traffic alert, and if you want to add the SV Premium package, that's an additional $3,500. That'll get you the power panoramic moonroof, intelligent surround view monitor, and Bose premium sound system with 11 speakers. The SL trim that we have starts at $39,330 or $49,030 for all-wheel drive. That adds navigation, Sirius XM travel link. You get the Bose audio with 11 speakers and 2 subwoofers. You get the surround view monitor, intelligent cruise control, heated front and rear seats, heated outside mirrors with reverse tilt down feature, ambient LED lighting. You get a heated steering wheel, driver seat memory, the motion power operated liftgate with roof rails, 20-inch machine finished alloy wheels, LED fog lights, and front and rear parking sensors. Now you can also opt for the SL technology package. That's $1970. We have that on our tester. That gets you Nissan Safety Shield 360 technology, traffic sign recognition, and the power panoramic moonroof. You can also opt for the Sunset Drift Chroma Flare color, which we have on our tester. That's $395. Now, the top trim Platinum, that's the one that I would suggest looking at. $43,630 for front-wheel drive, $45,230 for all-wheel drive. And since you don't pay fuel economy for penalty for all-wheel drive, I would suggest looking at that as well. You get the panoramic roof, the 20-inch dark hyper silver machined alloy wheels, climate-controlled front seats with ventilation, steering wheel with power tilt, telescoping and memory, high beam assist, traffic sign recognition, automatic emergency braking, lane departure warning, intelligent lane intervention, rear automatic braking, and the semi-aniline leather seats with diamond quilts. So that one is a little bit more loaded than the SL trim that we had in our test. Now let's go ahead and deliver my final verdicts on the 2019 Nissan Murano. Time to wrap up my feelings with the 2019 Nissan Murano SL. I'm kind of torn on this car. I've always liked the way that the Murano looks, although I feel like Nissan has let it get a little bit too dated. Nissan has a bunch of new technology. They have that new variable compression turbo engine. They have a more powerful V6 engine than this one. They have those turbocharged drivetrains over in the Infiniti side, so 260 horsepower just doesn't seem like enough right now, although I do like the fuel economy gains that Nissan has gotten out of this drivetrain. I think Nissan and Infiniti are working on a new Android-based infotainment system that should fix some of the oddities that I noticed on the interior, but overall, I think the Murano is a very comfortable car. I think it's a very eye-catching car, and it is just a nice overall package, which is why it's going to receive a score of worth a look. I don't think it's one of the best in the segment, but for being as old as it is with its bones, I think it actually does a pretty nice job. Look, if you enjoyed this video, it's no longer enough to just subscribe on YouTube. YouTube hasn't been sending our subscribers our latest videos, so if you want to keep up with our latest content, you're gonna have to hit that notification bell to be alerted to all of our latest videos. And I know it's really difficult to keep up with all the latest and greatest in automotive news. You have to check different websites, you have to watch a bunch of different YouTube channels, but if you go ahead and download the CarBuzz app on iOS and Android, we conglomerate all of the latest new car reveals, spy shots, all of that, all in one easy to read location. So be sure to check out our apps on the iOS and Android stores. And if you like this video, please leave a like. We really appreciate it, and we'd love it if you stayed on as a subscriber. Hope you've enjoyed this video. See you next time.